This conference.
Stand for pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Morning, everybody. It's February 27th. Rich County Courthouse for weekly meeting. It's available by GoToMeeting also. We have an agenda in front of us. Anybody have any corrections? Have a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
Got a motion and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approve the minutes for February 20th, February 21st, meetings and claims.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the February 20th and 21st meeting and claims.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Todd?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye?
All right.
Sydney?
Aye.
Jane?
I'm here, Rachel. I'm gonna abstain from that because I didn't see the claim, so I'll abstain.
Motion passes. County Attorney, general discussion.
Morning. I'll be kind of quick as I got to take off out of here pretty quickly, probably after I'm done, because I got to go to Mason City for some depositions and stuff over there. But I wanted to at least, the Kephart property, we talked about that. We had a meeting last week and we talked, the short answer is we decided, supervisors voted. I mean, I had my thoughts. I recommended, you approved. That a certain deal be reached. It was. So just to kind of recap, just for public out there. So, I'm going to go kind of fast, and probably talk kind of fast too. Just a lot of this I've said here before, but a lot of people may not have heard it. So Mr. Kephart's property, the county acquired that through tax deed. I'm not getting into specific dates and things, but there were special assessment was due on it from a while back. That accrued, wasn't paid, went to tax sale, nobody bought it, county got it, and then you have to let so much time go by, and then the county has issued a tax deed. So we went through all that process, and that's a process in itself, is to get that done. So we got that tax deed done, that issued. Of course, that's only part of the problem, right? I mean, so you get a tax deed, you got ownership to the property, but you still have somebody on the property, right? Or occupying it or possessing it or storing stuff or whatever. Be no different, sometimes I might own a property, but if I can't get the tenant out, right? I mean, it's kind of a similar thing, not entirely, but so you have to, what you have to do in a case like that is Iowa, like most states, doesn't allow self-help, right? I can't go onto my own property and remove a tenant. I have to go through a judicial process to get them out. And so that's the same thing we had to do here. That's called forcible entry and detainer. So you give them a 3-day notice to quit. We did that. You have them served. 3-day notice to quit, in short, is you say, basically you've got 3 days to vacate the premises. That time goes by, the premises are not vacated. Then you bring a forcible entry and detainer. Forcible entry and detainer, I'm summarizing, but it's a process where you say, I own this property, this person's in it, occupying it, using it, whatever, and I want to put a stop to it. So Judge, I need you to do that. So we filed that action. Generally speaking, once a forcible entry and detainer is filed, a hearing has to be held either within 8 days after that or 15 days after that. It depends. If the county, in this case, if the county consents to 15 instead of 8, they can be held within 15. In this case, I did say, that's fine, 15's fine, because of the way our court days lay. If I would have said, no, we gotta have it within 8 days, I don't know that would have been able to be done because there wouldn't have been a judge around, I don't think. So long and short of it is, it got set for hearing for today at 3:30. That's where you go up and we present our side and say, here, Judge, we own this property, give him the paperwork, the notices we provided and everything else, and say, Judge, please grant our request to put us, meaning the county, back in possession of the property and order him moved out. The judge grants that order, then what typically happens is the sheriff is given an order from the judge to say, go move him out. Okay, now sometimes what happens is, as I understand it, if I say something wrong, sheriff can correct me because he's the one that does this process. I don't go move people out. I don't think he has to do it very often, but anyway, essentially what you do a lot of times, if you're moving a tenant out of a house, is you move their stuff out, you put it on the curb. Well, that ain't going to work in this case, right? I mean, in this particular case with this property, you can't do that, right? I mean, if you've been by there, you know what I mean. You're not going to put anything on the curb. Might put a few things on the curb, but anyway, you get the point. So we were ready to go, and so the long and short of it is, Mike Byrne, his attorney, got a hold of me and said, okay, if we consent to your forcible entry and detainer and agree, the property is the county's, and you can kick us out. Can you give us till June to do it? I said I would not consider that unless we reached a deal ahead of time where it's like, well, I don't want any more hearings. I don't want to go to court anymore. I don't want to have any more of this stuff. So I might possibly consider something if you agree right now that the judge issued the order granting our request, and then also saying that once that day in June comes, the county's going to come in and move you out. If there's anything left, the county's going to move it out and do what they want with it. Anything that's left is forfeited to the county. So if there's anything left, then county or whoever goes, cleans it up and does whatever you want with the stuff that's left. Take it to the scrap yard, sell it. I don't know if there's anything there. But anyway, I indicated that, that if I was ever going to consider such a thing, I need to be able to know that when June comes around, I'm not asking for any hearing. I'm not giving any more notices. I'm done with all that. I'm tired of it. I want to be able to just send an email and say, here's the order. Judge, please sign it. And so that's what was done. The other alternative would have been go to the hearing today on forcible entry and detainer. Those should be pretty dry cut, clean cut, cut and dry, however you say it, but they're not always. Just because you get into a lot of disagreements at a lot of different times on these matters, and what should be a simple forcible entry and detainer ends up taking forever. So in this particular case, for example, if everything went right, we show up to hearing today. It's not going to happen, but if we were going to have the hearing today, we would have shown up for the hearing today. We would have presented our case. It would have taken 15, 20 minutes. The judge would have decided one way or the other, and that would have been it. Okay. That's kind of the procedure I think the law anticipates in a run-of-the-mill case. This is not a run-of-the-mill case. This had to be brought in district court as opposed to small claims court because it involved the tax deed. So you're going to district court, which complicates things more than small claims court. And then also, I don't know. I mean, all this is kind of speculation, but I have a feeling maybe we'd have gotten there today. I've done my level best to comply with the Iowa code and the law as far as notices and everything. Pretty confident I did all that correctly. So I wasn't particularly concerned about that. I did wonder if perhaps we get there and there are certain ways these matters can be continued out, right? If somebody comes in and says, wait a minute, title's in dispute here. I don't agree that the county owns this property. I don't think they did everything right. I'm pretty confident we did, but somebody could say we didn't. If that were to happen, I just had a feeling this thing was gonna get kicked down the road. I may be wrong, I don't know. But my suspicion was this may not be resolved today. It may be kicked down the road. And even if it was resolved today, the status of the stuff that's on there, I mean, it's not the county's yet, it's Mr. Kephardt's. So it's his property to do with what he wants, as long as he gets it off by a certain time. So I was a little suspicious, I mean, it's like, okay, if the judge would have granted our order today, would Mr. Kephardt have said, okay, fine, Judge, but I need time to get my stuff out of there? And would the judge have given me that time? I don't know. That's just all thoughts that are going through my head. So long and short of it, for purposes of getting it done, expediency, and just no more court hearings or anything like that, what's been ordered by the judge is the county's petition on forcible entry and detainer. It's been granted. The order's already been issued. It's been granted. So essentially the judge just said, yep, it's Mitchell County's property. Kephardt, you got to move your stuff. You got to get out of it. He's got until June 25th at 1 second after noon, 1 second after 12 noon, to have everything out of there. Regardless of whether everything's out of there or not, a writ of removal, writ of possession, kind of same thing, will be entered. Regardless of whether everything's out or not, that writ will be entered. I'll request it. I've got it bookmarked, so when that day comes, I'll send it to the judge, say, Judge, we're requesting this be entered. Presumably she'll enter it. May not be anything to do at that time. Everything may be off, right? If there's anything left, it's forfeited to the county to do what they want with it. So the clock is ticking on that, and this is going to end one way or the other. I mean, it's coming to an end. Now, what I can't guarantee is, so he's got this stuff, where's he going to go, and what's he going to do with it? Well, it's his property, right? I mean, it's his. It's like in any forcible entry and detainer. Judge may order me removed, but the stuff that's there is still mine. Once the sheriff removes it, it gets a little dicier, but long and short of it is, I don't know where all that property is going to go. It may end up going from one place to another place, and then we have a situation we have to address later, but can't get too far ahead of ourselves. Guess if that happens, we'll address it at the time. You hope the situation, if there is such a situation in the future, maybe there's not as much conflict, tension, and the process isn't drawn out for the number of years it's been drawn out here. So I spent longer discussing that than I was going to, but I don't like to just say part of something, you know what I mean? And then people have questions, so I try to kind of walk through it all. So that's the scoop.
I have a question there, unless I missed something. You had said that June 1st was the deadline, and then you went to June 25th.
Well, June 25th is what I always anticipated. So if I ever said June 1st at some point, then I was wrong.
I think he said June. I don't know if he said first.
Okay.
But, yeah,
But
but
no,
anyway, if I said June 1st at some point, I was wrong, because June 25th was always the date that was used. So, anybody got any questions or anything?
Sounds good.
Okay, we'll see what happens. I'm probably gonna take off here, just so I can get on my way, okay?
Perfect.
All right,
Thank you very much.
thanks.
Sheriff update.
Good morning. So you'll start seeing some overtime, after the Friday night incident in Riceville. I don't know how much and I don't know when it'll end. So whatever it is, I'll keep you up to speed as much as I can on that. Secondly, I think I posed a question to some of you over the last week or 10 days about, county employees using their personal vehicle for county business and how that might impact their insurance or the county's insurance if they're involved in a crash. So I've checked, and I think Mark checked with our county carrier, and they said the policy held by the employee would be the first cover on any crash. So I checked with State Farm on that, and that is accurate. However, the agent said you could probably expect both companies to be sued if there's an issue. So to try and resolve that issue and maybe not have my employees using their own vehicles to go get groceries, to get meds at the pharmacy, to use their vehicle for county business, a couple ideas I have for you guys to think about. No decisions need to be made really anytime soon, probably till July 1st, but is to take the Tahoe that's going to come out of service that would go to the reserve unit for them to run, and essentially decommission that, take all the graphics off it, the radios and stuff out of it, and just have a white Tahoe that the jail staff can use. So that's one option. What that does, however, though, is keeps our reserves in the old truck that they're currently running for an extended period of time, which doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but as vehicles get older, there's more repairs on them and such matters. So that's one option, to take that Tahoe and give it to jail staff and they can use it. We could also use it if guys go to training and maybe it's not the best to have a marked unit or whatever. There's some options with that one. Secondly is to maybe take some money from our room and board account that we have. There's $250,000 or $260,000 in there. Go out and see Marty at Cooper's and say, I need a used white van. Don't need a new one. Buy a used van. Let the jail staff use that to get groceries and do whatever they need to do with that thing. County-owned vehicle. That takes them out of any liability if there's their personal insurance carrier, out of any liability if they're involved in a crash, whether it's their fault or not. And then we're just dealing with county issues on that, not their insurance plus our insurance. I don't want my employee to end up having to pay a deductible or somehow cost them as a result of the crash. So those are two options I have. If you got others that I haven't thought about, certainly open to those two. But anyway, give that some thought. Maybe in the next few months we can come to a decision. Or
Is there any more information on jailing other counties?
so, well, I can tell you it's Worth County. And Dan said that he was going to let me know on Monday, and I have not heard from him. He said it is going to happen. I think they're looking at our shop and going to Winnebago County. So distance wise, we're just a few miles closer. I would say, I'm going to encourage them to come this way. We share magistrates. We share Rich.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we share services now. We could maybe continue that.
Right.
Sharing of services if they would come this way. So,
Along with that, you'd have more, maybe trips to different stuff too, where you would need it.
yeah, certainly would. Yeah. The other thing is I told the sheriff initially that our fees were $60 per day to hold inmates. Now, if you guys want to adjust that to make it more attractive to come here, that's on you guys, whatever you think. But that's where the fee is right now. That's what they would be paying per day, per inmate. So
Is that kind of the going rate?
kind of going,
Are we doing their jail, or is this gonna be a lifetime thing?
the sheriff told me they're consolidating. And so I didn't ask a lot of questions on, I think it's long-term, Mark. I don't think they want to operate a jail.
Yeah.
I think they look at it as cost savings and because of the age of what they've got going over there. And maybe if you reach out to a couple of their supervisors, they could maybe give you a little more insight into what's going on. But I didn't ask a lot of specifics on the why. But I just offered.
What's the other county's jail rate, you know?
I don't, like, not for sure. It's very comparable. A phone call would tell me.
Yeah.
But
Encourage you to, try to get a deal with them. I mean, that,
yeah, I'm trying.
yeah, staff at the jail anyway, it's not, you got room, so.
Yep, we do. So we'll see what happens. I expect a call soon. And then how soon it would be implemented, that would be another matter, but to lock us in would be good. And then we can work on a timeline for them to come this way. If indeed that happens, so.
Okay.
That's really all I have unless you have questions for me.
Are you still patrolling Riceville?
Well, Todd, yes. That is really a interesting situation. So Howard County has contracted the whole town, okay? So do I have responsibility over there? To the voters of the Mitchell County side, I still feel I do. I mean, they've always supported me and I'm not gonna not provide them service. Do we handle the barking dogs? Nope. That's Howard County's business. Reckless driver. Most of the incidents that go on over there, and even this homicide is Howard County's issue. They have contracted those services. However, when you have a major event like this, it's important that my office takes it.
Which county did it happen in?
What's that?
Which county did the homicide?
In Mitchell.
Oh, it was in Mitchell, yeah, then it's your deal then, yeah, I'm sure.
And so, yeah, could I walk away from it? I could. I don't think that's right to the victims and the people on the Mitchell County side. So we took it that night and Howard County will help us. However, I could have said, no, our deputies are not involved. Once the scene is secure, Howard County, you need to deal with that. And wasn't the right thing to do in this case. So we've got it. Yeah.
Reasonable. Good decision.
Yeah. So anyway. Anything else? Anyone here? All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Department head discussion?
Hello. We had our board meeting last night. Just wanted to share a couple things with you guys. We had a couple individuals that received funds for the info lot, and part of the agreement was they were supposed to have the house built within 2 years. Otherwise, pay back the money. So last night, our board did approve extensions on both of those, and so I'll get that on the agenda. I'll get all the information. I'll get what the individuals have made progress on. I'll get that information to Rachel, so we have it for next week. You guys have the final decision on that. So that was one thing. And then also with Sportsman's, they received some previous funds from like a previous construction loan program. And back in like 2019, the project was supposed to be completed in 2020. The project has still not been completed up until just recently. The kitchen is complete now. And then the bedrooms, there's two bedrooms that are supposed to be done upstairs. He's getting very close to finishing those, hoping to rent those out March 1st. We asked that he provide some verification of pictures to us to provide verification that those projects are indeed complete. So I'll be waiting for that information. Our board also decided to, there was the forgiveness, it was called like an affordability period, which is like, basically they have to Like every year for 4 years, the loan is forgiven 25% each year. And so my board decided last night to, that the affordability period starts yesterday. So from 4 years from yesterday, we'll get the loan forgiven instead of what it initially was. And then we just talked about our spec building. I still don't have anybody interested in the spec building. We just discussed kind of like the process and that sort of thing, but no new prospects with that. Any questions on any of those things?
Jenny, you said in regards to the Sportsman's project that they didn't get completed. I may have heard you wrong, but I think you said that was from the construction loan program, and that was not the construction loan program. But it wasn't that program that it was in existence before, and that we're not doing that anymore. Am I correct, or did I hear that wrong?
It was the commercial construction program, sorry. A previous one from 2019.
Was there a timeline on that too?
Well, he was supposed to have it completed. He received the funds in 2019. The project was supposed to be completed in 2020. And so I think just because there's been a turnover in with the MCEDC, I'm not really sure anybody was really, I think between the directors and stuff, I'm not sure that I think he forgot all about that he had this loan even. So, I mean, the project was supposed to be complete in 2020, 4 years ago.
He forgot he had the loan?
What's that?
He forgot he had the loan?
He also got he got state money too, so he thought all the stuff with the MCEDC was taken care of like a long time ago. So, which he has the same agreement that I have, he has the same mortgage that I have, so he should know.
For years past,
Mhm.
due. Well, yeah, it's bending the rules a lot, you know.
And I guess I'm not totally familiar with how that program really operated. That was in long before my time. I'd have to dig to see. I mean, the good news is that hopefully it's finally complete. And hopefully he can get that rented out. So to help with the housing situation.
4 years is a long time to go delinquent on a something agreement, you know. Yeah, I don't think it should be, yeah. You forget you got a loan, I mean, how would you?
Well, it was a forgiveness loan, so like technically like he wasn't, he just got it forgiven, so I think he didn't have to pay anything each year.
Fishy, but yeah.
That's all I have unless you guys have anything else.
Sounds good.
All right.
Any other department have discussion? Nothing? County engineer update.
Morning. Couple things. We've been looking for a while. I think I've mentioned it to you guys before. We've been looking for a loader in Stacyville for quite a while. We have found one. I got a quote for one for, it's a 2009 Cat 938 with about 10,000 hours on it for about $56,000, which isn't a bad deal for where it is and what it is. They're offering some credit because it's got a leaky radiator, so something minor there, but we're also going to trade in the old machine we have in Stacyville, but they haven't evaluated the trade-in value yet, so that's kind of on the horizon here yet. But kind of let you know, we have about $170,000 left in the equipment budget, so we still have the funding, and we've been looking for quite a while to get something safe over there, safer than what's there now. So just maybe a heads up that we may be pulling the trigger on getting that used machine for that shop over there. And then secondly, the current trailer we're using for our skid loader is about maxed out on weight. We've been looking around too to find a little bit heavier duty trailer to take the bigger skid loader and then some of the attachments that will probably go with it because we can't haul it all in one of that smaller car trailer we have. So we got a quote from Terry's Auto Body, I guess, in Raceville for a trailer over there that we're gonna probably purchase just to kind of make sure we have something heavy enough to pull our equipment around with. And that's about $16,950 for a good sized trailer that'll meet the needs that we have. So just kind of a heads up on maybe what we're gonna be doing there with the equipment budget still. So just wanted to let you guys know, what we might be doing here soon. In addition, we, kind of resolved our issues with our 105 bridge last Friday, so we got everything kind of moving back on track for closing up that project. There will probably be some, lane closures up there this spring, because there's some panels that need to be replaced. The crane had cracked some panels and gonna require them to be replaced, so that we're not gonna have some panels that deteriorate faster than everything else around the area. So that'll be coming up this spring, probably only 2 or 3 days worth of one lane closure for them to replace those panels.
Are they responsible for that then?
But pardon me?
Are they responsible?
Yep. And then, so that's being taken care of. In addition, then I've got a pay request for next week for the final voucher on the Bailey Bridge, which we thought was completely closed out. The DOT was going through some audit stuff and realized that they had a change in command with the project stuff, and there was some things missing. So we'll just have to get you to sign the final pay voucher next week so we can get that project zipped up. And then we're still working on getting some other projects closed out yet, waiting for some information for some contractors yet. So we'll keep moving along, and then I've got 2 projects set for final plans for next week to get turned in, so we'll be working on those too. So pretty busy. And then I did hand you guys a sheet from the Woodbury County engineer that kind of explains, he's been really digging in deep to this, and this House File 718, is it, Rachel? You know what it is? That, you know, kind of the complications that it can cause the counties, and specifically the secondary road funds for each county, and the obligations that are required by the code. I don't think that when they passed, I guess what we're looking at is what we're kind of seeing is when they passed House File 718, they didn't realize what they were changing and what they needed to change or didn't change when it came to the code as far as the secondary road fund. So there's some information in there that's kind of highlighted. I didn't highlight any of that stuff. That's all stuff that we got circulated. And the one thing that's been kind of going around, I don't know if you guys want to participate or not, there has been talk about getting someone involved to, a lobbyist involved. The lobbyists cost money. I don't know if ISAC should be kind of biting some of this a little bit too, but there's just been talk about if they don't get enough interest in hiring a lobbyist for this, then we'll just have to kind of keep fighting as a county, or as 99 counties, to find out, you know, how to make things better for everybody else, because we could end up losing state funds. We could end up possibly, you know, it could jeopardize a lot of other funding opportunities for us. If the county can't afford to give us the 75% of the rural basic that's required by the code. So anyway, I'll just try to keep you updated on what's going on with that, as from what I can tell. I haven't gotten a chance to dig deep into it. There was a spreadsheet that was sent to me, and I don't understand what all the numbers are. Rachel probably has a better idea of all those numbers that are in it, but we could probably and maybe you have the spreadsheet already, I don't know, but.
A base spreadsheet.
Yeah, so anyway, it's just one of those things where we gotta kind of keep an eye on this a little bit to make sure we don't lose if we can't keep the 75% in secondary roads, we lose our road, we use the same percentage of road use tax money that goes to other counties that can afford the 75%, plus we might jeopardize the use of our farm market funds as well, so.
And that's where we are today, is 75%, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Or last year we were higher, right?
We were higher last year, and it kind of got brought down. I don't think this year, I guess, I don't know for sure. I don't think we're in jeopardy right now, but if the 3% thing kind of keeps going on here and something doesn't change, we could end up in a situation, but there's some wording that needs to be changed in the legislature to make sure that it doesn't happen.
So we're okay for now and probably this next year, correct?
I'm assuming so. I haven't run any numbers to know. I mean,
Is contacting Bloomingdale and Brown an option, or is there somebody deeper in the legislature?
I'm not quite sure where that all comes from or who to really contact. But it might be worth talking to either one of those two about, since they're the ones that are, you know, voting on stuff like that, I'm sure, so. And lastly, we didn't make the rural grant for that project south of Stacyville and in through town. And there's indications that there's a possibility of getting another sort of grant funding, but it's not really, it's kind of not really a grant thing. And it requires, I guess I'm gonna have to dig into it a little bit deeper. Each, how do I want to say that? Senator Hinson, we're in Hinson's district. And she's a state representative, and each one of those gets an opportunity to, I guess, pick projects that they want to do in the fiscal year that, I think it's an every year thing. They get some, I don't know if it's specifically roads or anything else, but our Service Bureau grants person thought that our project could be competitive with something like that. So, but it's a matter of kind of getting political and trying to put the project in front of the people that are choosing the projects. And I don't have any contacts. I don't know if anybody's ever contacted her for anything either, but I'll try to delve into it a little bit. I don't think that for this year we can make the timeline that they're needed to make that project even go through with how they want it. Like they might be getting the funds. I don't know when they get the funds. We kind of had a debrief a little bit, and I haven't dug much into it just yet, but it sounds like the money comes soon and they want you to use it right away. Well, we're not even in design for anything to be able to make anything happen for this next round. But if it's a yearly thing, maybe we can kind of keep pushing it ahead and see if we can get anything through the following year if they still continue to do that. But laws change and funding changes, so I don't know where we're at, but
What
kind of
dollar amount roughly that?
I think we estimated for the whole project, I want to say it was, I thought it was like 7 million.
Then pay 80% or 85 or something like
And
that.
it still would be an 85, even if we got that, it would still probably be an 80%, and we'd still have to come up with 20%, so. But just kind of an FYI, we're kind of still trying to chase it down. I had a Zoom meeting, I think it was yesterday, and kind of had to talk about it. And there was only 3 of us that are kind of looking into something with our districts that could be potential projects. But I think right now we're kind of way on the bottom as far as getting it out there and approved or even looked at. So I've got some contacts that we can try to make, but I'm not sure where it'll take us. So we're going to kind of proceed with the way the construction program is now. We'll maybe have to break the project up a little bit unless we can kind of figure out what we can do, because some of those sections of road are going to need some attention sooner rather than later. So
Can you get a smaller project in, like the River Road or something with that?
what's that?
Could you get a smaller project in, like the River Road or something?
Well, they're looking at that. That's probably not even.
That's not what they're looking for.
No, I don't think so. It's
Looking for bigger.
kind of economic, river roads.
Some people fish on that road.
Yeah, I get it, but just with communities, I don't even know if they would even want to bat an eye at what we even have to show them, so, but we'll try. I mean, if it was bridge related or something, maybe it'd be something too, but a project that small, most projects are between what'd they say, the $4 and $7 million range is what they're looking at. We don't have that kind of money to throw at the River Road, right? We don't need to put that kind of money into the River Road.
It would take that much.
Right, so,
I just,
but it's been one that we've been looking at for a while, and if there's a way to get some funding out of it, we'll certainly try. Well, I got
it's
for
gonna be a
you.
yearly thing going on.
Pardon me?
You think it's gonna be a yearly thing?
I understand that it might be, but I'm not positive. It was kind of we asked if it was a yearly thing, and our representative said, well, I think it is, but she wasn't sure either, so. Kind of the first we've heard of it, which is kind of amazing too, so. But we had been working with another grant writer who gave us the information, so there's somebody that was in the know before we even knew. And so maybe it's been going on for a long time and we just found out, so.
Yeah. We're a long ways from Des Moines.
Well, that's for sure, for sure. And we did go through a review of the rural, I think we went through our rural grant application. We had a debrief of that with our consultant, and actually we had it with the with the Federal Highway, with USDOT. And they were talking about, we put our application in for this rural grant and we went through and we didn't make the cut. There was, I can't remember how many, over 100 and some projects that were kind of made the next step after we did. And obviously some big projects got approved in our rural grant, our rural grant with 9 counties and over $25 million of work didn't make the cut and didn't get awarded. We went through the debrief and found out why we didn't make what we didn't make, and it had to do with, well, as a grant total, the whole thing, I think it was really difficult for us in rural Iowa to even compete, even though they're rural grants. The DOT got a bridge project, was great for the state of Iowa. We got a bridge that's gonna be funded by federal funds. But we as county engineers were under the impression it was more rural. We're rural. When you think of rural, you think of small counties, and none of the award went to really small counties. They went to more urban counties that are still considered rural. And some questions that we couldn't answer were, well, we couldn't determine how much carbon reduction our project would, we couldn't tell them how we were going to reduce carbon that well. I'm like, we're rural. How are we don't have stoplights every block, right? So things like that, and then trying to explain how we were gonna improve the economy. I mean, we're rural, we hope that we can bring people in, but that doesn't mean we can put a number to it specifically. So there were some things that they were looking at that we didn't expect them to look at, and really the thing to me was the carbon reduction. That was kind of almost ridiculous to me, but but we don't make the rules, we just have to follow them. So it was almost like it was staged against any rural county ever, so.
Just gonna say that.
But we did get some money in the state of Iowa, so we shouldn't complain. There's a bridge gonna be built on an interstate, so.
Keith?
Iowa raises a lot of corn and beans, and they reduce the carbon footprint as well as trees do. That's a big deal for carbon footprint, if that's what you're talking about.
But trying to explain why repaving our road and fixing the city streets, we couldn't tell them how that was gonna reduce carbon and by what amount. I'm like, really, we probably wouldn't, but we still have to have our vehicles, our roads safe for the traveling public. Having good roads maybe brings economic development in, and it makes, so it was kind of a, you're talking about a bridge, well, we can reduce the carbon footprint, because if the bridge goes out, we got a 20-mile detour, now you're burning more gas to get around the same. So you can quantify that, but it's hard to quantify, well, we're gonna repave this road, but we want to bring economic development in and make transportation better. But in rural Iowa, when you're driving 55 miles an hour, you can drive it on a bad road, you can drive it on a good road. So hard to determine the carbon footprint in that respect. So, but we learned a lot from it. So next time we do grants and things with the group, we'll know better what to add to it. So I'm gonna shut up and see if you got any questions or not. We'll be sitting here all day talking about grants, so.
Nothing, anybody else? Perfect, thank you. Home health, public health update?
Good morning. I actually do have some handouts here.
Sure. 2 sheets, right?
I'm gonna adjust a handout. I'll start with expenses and revenues. We actually had a meeting on February 9th, Board of Health meeting. I wanted to share with you the worksheet a new worksheet that I'm using to show how we're doing on our budget, our expenses and revenues. It kind of plays it, or it shows it a little bit better than the other reports that I've shared with you guys in the past. So it shows how much revenue we should be bringing in every month and where our expenses should be at every month to be sitting good with our budget. And our expenses are well under every month. And our revenues are over every month. It looks like there was 2 months we were not over on our revenues, but we made up for it the next month by quite a bit. So it's just a really great worksheet to show how we're doing. it says our expenses, about average, about 103,000 a month, and we only hit that once. Otherwise, we're way under those on our expenses every month. And our revenues, we'd like to bring in 71,000 every month, and majority of the time, we're bringing in about 90,000, 80,000. The one month we brought in about 121,000. So, our revenues are definitely coming in. So I just wanted to show you guys how well we're doing. I would say not only our expenses and revenues are in order, we're doing very well. So just a nice screenshot of how we're doing. So we had, for the 2024 officers for the Board of Health, that were voted in for chair for the Board of Health is Jolene Norby. The vice chair is Brenda Miller, and the board secretary is Terry Tesh. And we do an agency secretary, Christine Heckenmiller, does all of our minutes, but if she's not there, then Terry Tesh as the board secretary will do them. We've scheduled out the meetings for 2024 for our Board of Health, and they're the second Tuesday every other month. So our next one is April 12th. Anybody's welcome to come. I just wanted to let you know, I know last time we were here, we were still looking for an aide. We actually hired an aide, a Dawn Wolf. She's part-time 25. She started January 29th. Everything is going great. We are fully staffed. I feel like every time I say that, something goes wrong, but knock on wood, we're doing really well. I would really still like to hire a PRN. Our PRN aide right now is going to be finishing nursing school here in a few months. So my guess is that's going to be coming to an end pretty soon. So she'll be moving on to her next chapter. So it would be nice to have another PRN CNA on staff to help us out during vacations and weekends and things like that. So I believe I told you guys a couple of months ago that we did raise our starting wage for an aide because we were struggling to find somebody. So due to that change, the board did vote at the last meeting so we have 4 existing aides that have been with our agency 6, 7, 8 years. And they weren't even making what you could go start out at a nursing home around Mitchell County. So 4 of the aides got a $2 raise to make up for that starting wage increase. And, we want to take care of our employees that we have, and we don't want to lose any longtime employees. So they're all hardworking aides that we want to keep on our staff. So they voted that in. So I believe I've talked about the electronic visit verification that with Medicaid, all of our nurses and aides have to check in GPS location when they get to the patient's home and when they leave. And so that started January 1st. We've had a lot of kinks with that, with our EMR not throwing out errors when they shouldn't be. So it's just, we're spending a lot of time dealing with that. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. We have to keep pushing forward with it. But just a lot of time is being spent on it, a lot of extra time billing, or it's causing billing delays. So we might see that in our revenues in a couple months here when it starts. But I just wanted to give you guys an update on that. We are following through with it. It's just, it's causing a lot of errors that we need to work out. Some updates on our grants right now. So our emergency preparedness, we have about $13,000 left on that. Our immunization grant, it's been spent, that was $8,000. So that's all been claimed. That IT grant that I know we've talked about before, that we helped purchase the server and computers and updated everything, that ended at the end of 2023, and we did spend all of that. We claimed all of that money. So our state grant, that we use that grant to help with a lot of the public health activities that we do and then half of it helps pay to offset some of the home health visits, because our sliding fee scale for our patients that can't afford to pay full fee, it helps offset some of that. So we have $7,000 left on the public health side of the activities there. We did receive a grant from the state to help promote COVID and flu vaccine, try to increase those rates, those immunization rates in our county. It was a $12,000 grant. So you guys may have seen, We've done a lot of walk-in clinics to get our COVID and flu vaccines over in the last several months. So we have about $1,000 left on that. Otherwise, we have claimed all of that. And I think that's all I have. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, I do have some home health statistics for you. So since January 1st, our current census is sitting at about 75 home health patients right now. We've had about 29 admits since January 1st. 23 of those have been brand new admits, 6 has been readmissions, 25 discharges, and 51 recertifications. So we recertify everybody every 60 days. So a majority of our referrals, I would say the top 3 referrals, we have a lot of self-referrals, a lot of people calling in on their own to ask on services. And then the local Osage Hospital and Osage Clinic, we receive probably the majority of our referrals from. So we are currently taking referrals. We're fully staffed and ready to take on more. So do you guys have any questions?
Laura, could you send me those attachments you handed out, please?
I will. Yep, I will send them both. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Who does the discharges? Do you guys, or does, if the hospital clinic refer them to you, do they do it, or?
So once we get the referral, it's all us once we admit them when they come home. So we do the admission, everything in between, and then we do the discharges. So, yeah, and we have 5 home health nurses on staff right now that will do all those. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so public health things that have been going on since we were last here. Done 61 blood pressures in the county, 2 clinical referrals given to those that were assessed. Immunizations, we are done with our walk-in clinics for the flu and COVID, still taking individuals in that call in, make appointments, finishing up with nursing homes. We have their RSV, COVID, and flu shots taken care of. They're just trying to catch those individuals up on tetanus, shingles, pneumonia vaccines, just to get them all caught up. I did travel out to the Mennonites last week, and then in a couple weeks I'll be going out there again to vaccinate their families. CPR, this is my always usually busy time for CPR classes here until about May-ish. I have 5 CPR classes scheduled. I've completed 3 of them, I think, and 3 CPR classes, so I have a couple more in the next couple of weeks. Had a business reach out to me, which is nice to see that too, of getting their staff OSHA trained on first aid and CPR, so that was huge. Stop the Bleed, I attended Osage School last week and did Stop the Bleed training on all their staff. We did get a grant through the state of Iowa. We're part of our VETS grant, or Emergency Preparedness Grant, to allow us to hand out Stop the Bleed kits to individuals. There's some stipulations on it. They had to be trained in Stop the Bleed. If they weren't already, they had to be specific locations in the building. So I was able to give 16 Stop the Bleed kits to Osage schools, and then 16 kits to St. Ansgar schools. So those were both dropped off. Stopped in the city hall yesterday in St. Ansgar and was able to supply them with a kit as well too. We'll do the same in Osage. And in the courthouse, Rachel just signed the sheet. They are allowing each floor to get 1 kit. So I'll have 3 kits that I'll bring over to Rachel once we do get those in. I'm hoping for more, but they wouldn't let any stipulations of outside. So nothing to go to conservation, nothing to the sheriff's department, roads, nothing. So we're hoping to hopefully broaden that, and we'll be able to get more in to give out as well. Just, it's nice, all courthouse employees have basically been trained, so there's no training that needs to be done for that either. So that was kind of a nice leeway there. Also Narcan, hot topic nowadays. Osage Schools has requested some Narcan, and there's been some businesses in Mitchell County that requested that. We can get that free through the state for businesses and for schools. So just doing training, education with those businesses and schools as well about how to use Narcan, when to use it, those types of things. I completed a babysitter's course, so I can instruct children throughout Mitchell County, primarily 5th, 4th graders through 8th graders on babysitting classes, along with, I'd like to also incorporate a car seat safety class with that as well too, just because it's needed here in Mitchell County. So we will be taking over that. So I've completed that course, and then we'll be offering classes this summer, and then on weekends as well too, to reach out to those kids. Reportable cases, I had 2 Campy, 1 Giardia case. Respiratory, flu, we are high in Mitchell County. And how we determine high is the amount of tests taken in Mitchell County. If it's over 50% positive, that's where we determine that we're high at. So we are seeing high for a flu diagnosis. We had both schools, Osage and St. Ansgar, had hit their 10% mark. Osage was a couple weeks ago, St. Ansgar just this week. And so that's increased for illnesses. What happens is they have to report that to state, which is required. State reaches out to me, and we just have the conversations with the school nurses and the schools of what we can do and those kinds of things to help improve it. There is the second sheet that Laura did hand out to you guys, the Mitchell County snapshot. I did want to share that with you guys. So this is what the state of Iowa looks at with our snapshot and where we are averaging against the state. You do see mental health, and then active living, healthy living, and cancer preventative. We do sit over the percentage of what the state is. And I just want to show you guys this. This does line up right with our CHA chip that we introduced last year. So everything that we basically had in our CHA chip lines up with what the snapshot shows. So we are working hard on those, trying to make Mitchell County better with those numbers too. So hopefully we see a decrease in that as well. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Sydney and Jim, I will email you guys those attachments.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action on correction of minutes from February 13th, 2024.
I can speak on it quick. So when it was approved, it was to approve the city of Riceville's tax abatement request. That should actually be tax rebate agreement for the Pickard-Ullman residential project. And since the minutes were already published, if we correct it here, so it can be published in the next minutes correctly.
Okay. Do you have a motion to correct the minutes from February 13th?
I'll make a motion to correct the minutes from February 13th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Roll call, Jim?
Aye, sorry, aye.
Sydney?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Meetings attended. Jim?
I had none.
Sydney?
I had none.
I had a juvenile detention meeting in Eldora. Pretty much just a routine meeting. They do a lot of transportation for sheriff's office and courts and stuff. And that's been way up. I guess they have a profit of $20,000 a month just on that, so it's working out really well. And otherwise, just everything's good.
Perfect. I had none.
I had FMC DCAT, went through the 24 financials. She handed out the second quarter report, so all was good. HHS realignment update went through. There still is nothing brought down from the legislature. And our director is doing some community planning for the Floyd Mitchell Chickasaw area. And then, MCEDC meeting last night, and Jenny kind of went over that with everybody, so that was it.
Okay. Clerk of court report for January. We have $1,856.60. So noted. Catch that one. Manure management plan update.
Friesen 6 site, 385th Street, Osage. Friesen 7 site, 4672 Glass Avenue, Sinansker. Friesen N2 site, 465th Street, Sinansker. Friesen N1 site, 4586 Highway 218, Sinansker. Griffiths Finisher Farm, 3160 Walnut Avenue, Orchard. Quad R Finisher, 1237 50th Street, Riceville. And Underwood Finisher Farm, 3050 340th Street, Orchard.
Perfect, thank you. Any public comments?
I'll have a comment.
Of course, Mr. Horgan.
We got county government, have an engineering department that has to consider hiring a lobbyist to talk to the state government. Where are we going? The state government's been trying to pull in all the tax money they can from rural areas. There are a heck of a lot more rural counties than there are urban. Why don't those people stand up for what they need for infrastructure? They promised so many dollars, we should be able to get that and not have to bid against somebody that's got more money that can take over. I think we should talk to the lobbyists that we've already elected and explain this problem that rural counties are having. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why we have to lobby in our own state government.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. It's silly. I don't get it. I think that the cities and the county government should write them letters and explain it. They reduce our taxes in any way they can. They don't want to raise taxes, but they'll raise evaluation. That creates an inflationary situation. You know, tell the people the truth, what's going on. That's all I'm gonna say.
Any other? Meeting adjourned at 9:32. Thank you very much. Come back.